Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our TNA show for the week. Let's jump right into it. First with the so-so portions of the night. They weren't bad, they weren't good, they were just there. First is some tag team tournament matches. Koya and James Storm versus the Hardy Boys. The reason I put this here, for some reason to me, watching the match, it just didn't click. It didn't feel like all four guys were on the same page. Kind of a little bit felt like maybe Koya wasn't over his head with the level of talent he was in there with. Maybe the Hardys aren't used to wrestling him. Just a weird... it came off a little bit clunky. Hardys pick up the win. Nobody's surprised there. Afterwards, Storm blames the loss on Koya. Again, no surprise there either. Next up, we have Low-Ki and Kenny King representing the BDC versus Rockstar Spud and Mr. Anderson. The reason I put this on here is because of the finish. It was an okay match. The match was serviceable. At the end, Low-Ki throws a chair in. Anderson goes for it, distracts the referee. It was a little bit too choreographed. Like, okay, be here, do this. They positioned themselves too much, in my opinion, is what it was looking like. Just kind of fell flat. Low-Ki and Kenny King pick up the win. Just another match that just fell flat. Next up, while I enjoyed what they announced, the actual segment turned pretty ho-hum really quick. And that was the announcement of next week being an all-diva show. We had Angelina Love, Madison Rayne, Gail Kim, Brooke Texmeyer, and Taryn Terrell all out there. All of them taking turns on the mic, cutting each other off, which brings out Awesome Kong, which leads to a fracas. I think this was a filler kind of thing, just nothing really came of it. TNA too much relies on these kind of things where there's a bunch of people having a big brawl. It kind of takes away, in my opinion. It's, to me, every time I see it, it screams time filler. Next up, the bad portions of the night. And there's really only one thing, and it's on a similar account of what I just said, and I could have easily slid that in here as well. It started off with a backstage fight with Homicide and Kurt Angle. They wrestle out to the ring. The rest of the BDC comes out, Beatdown Clan, Low-Ki and MVP, and Kenny King. And we see them getting the numbers, and the Rising comes out with Drew Galloway and Micah and Eli Drake. Goes to a stalemate. We see Eric Young plays off something we seen earlier where Eric Young kind of seems to be acting a little bit more like the old Eric Young, the stand-up guy Eric Young, where he stops MVP from hitting Angle with a chair, threatens to hit Angle with a chair, but doesn't eventually, kind of teetering again on going back to the guy that was a good guy, basically. Now, next up, we're going to roll right into our question of the week. Question of the week was, who do you think should be the next inductee in the TNA Hall of Fame? Got some answers from our friends here. First is from Clover Cold 89. I think even though she is still wrestling, I say Gail Kim. She has done so much for TNA. Next is Rain Lazy 92. I'd like to see AJ Styles in the Hall of Fame, but I doubt that would happen at least this year. Ken Shamrock would be a good choice in my opinion. All three of them are great choices, actually. Ken Shamrock, the first NWA TNA champion. AJ Styles, a guy that I believe is still the face of TNA, had been for a long, long time. Gail Kim, like he said, who's done more for women's wrestling in the last decade than Gail Kim. Who I would like to see given the respect he deserves is Jeff Jarrett. It's not going to happen. So I'm not even going to count that as an official guess at who it would be. Now, based off of what they've done in the past, the 3 nominees that they've got in there were still active wrestlers. You had Kurt Angle, Sting, and the Dudleys. I think that what I think they're going to do is the Hardy Boys. I believe they put the Hardy Boys into their Hall of Fame, or maybe even Abyss. I would say they're going to put the Hardys in just because the name value means more to them. Who I think it should be is Jeff Jarrett. Who I'd like to see would be a guy like Jerry Lynn, who absolutely helped establish the X Division and deserves to be in a Hall of Fame like this. Who it's probably going to be is the Hardy Boys. So I'd like to see Jarrett. Who deserves it is Lynn, and who it's going to be is the Hardys. My opinion. I know it's kind of a cluster of the different guys when I ask for one. If I had to pick one, I'd put in Jeff Jarrett. I don't think anybody deserves to go in the Hall of Fame for TNA more than Jeff Jarrett does. But politics change that. Question of the week for this week is the big news of the week is Taz has left TNA. Who do you think should replace him in the announce booth? Do you think Josh Matthews should stay as a one-man per show, or do you think they should bring in another announcer? If so, who? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter. Put your comments down where? Down there in the comment box. Now rolling into the good portion of the night, the stuff I liked. The beginning segment with Eric Young calling out basically Kurt Angle to get another shot at the title. It was good. I liked it for the reasons I just mentioned about the one good thing in our bad portion was Eric Young teetering on coming back to being a good guy, not taking the cheap shot on Angle. I thought it was a good opening segment, a good way to keep Eric Young and Kurt Angle going. I imagine that as soon as Bobby Lashley comes back, him and Eric Young will be in a feud based off what Eric Young did to him last time around. But just a good segment, good way to set up their feud and continue it going. Next up, we have another tag team, tournament match. We have Jay Rios and Tigre Uno versus Ethan Carter III and Bram. Ethan Carter and Bram pick up the win. I'm really disappointed. I like this match. This match was very good, by the way. I enjoy the dichotomy between Bram and Carter. I think they work well together. I think you can see where the eventual split will come already, even though they've not been a team very long. I think you see the ego of Ethan Carter, the violence of Bram. I think it meshes well. I think it's a good team. The only thing disappointed about this is you got a guy on the other side, Tigre Uno, who I think could easily be this generation's Rey Mysterio. I mean, the guy is an absolute phenomenal athlete, a transcendent talent, a guy that can just flat out fly around the ring and innovate. And they don't seem to know what to do with him. And it's a real shame because they really have someone that can maybe make them a lot of money in Tigre Uno. Just a little side soapbox off of that. The match was very good. The guys who I thought should win did win. Again, my theory about Tigre Uno aside, was a good match. Next up, the final match in the tag tournament that leads to the final Ultimate X. We'll get to that in a minute. We have Bobby Roode and Austin Aries versus the Bromans. Now, beforehand, we see them putting into Robbie E's head that he's better than Jesse and saying that they're going to go do the same to Jesse. You see the dissension in the Bromans all through the match. Roode and Aries pick up the win. Afterwards, we get a Bromance brawl. DJZ has to come out and break him up. Maybe we've seen the end of Bromance. Maybe it's just a teaser. Who knows? I like the fact that it's leaving us where it could go either way. It could be they just had a disagreement and they're best friends again. It could be they break up, go their separate ways, which I think they could both be very successful. I really thought when they put Bromance together was to have someone like Robbie E., who I don't know if you've noticed, is a fantastic wrestler, barring the gimmick that he has. help bring along a guy like Jesse Goddard, who when he first came into TNA, was very green and has improved drastically. So that's kind of why I thought they put him together, for a guy, being that their gimmicks fit each other. You could have a guy like Robbie E teaching Jesse the ropes. So hopefully, whatever way they go, I think it'll be interesting. I like them personally. I like both wrestlers. I think they're good talents. And last but not least, the main event of the night, the Ultimate X, the finals in the tag tournaments for the new tag team champions. We had the Hardy Boys versus Low Ki and Kenny King versus EC3 and Bram versus Bobby Roode and Austin Aries. This was a good match. I've seen better Ultimate X matches. I like what the Hardys did here. I like Roode and Aries and how they went about things. The outside interference, which in a no DQ match, it never made sense to me why people wouldn't use that to their advantage. I thought it was a real good match. I think the Hardys winning, it does a couple different things. It gives a name talent, just like I was talking about the Hardys going in the Hall of Fame. There's someone that casual fans recognize, and if you find out through the dirt sheets, through Facebook, whatever, Twitter, what you're looking at, you might see, hey, the Hardy Boys are on TNA and they're their champions. And you might not have watched wrestling for the past couple of years. But you go, oh, I used to like the Hardy Boys. Maybe I'll check it out next time they're on. It brings that kind of an audience in. It brings a little bit of a crossover audience, a little bit to help build the audience. You need stuff like this every now and again. Now, using it as a crutch all the time when you have better talent on the show is what I disagree with. I do like the Hardys as an act. I can't say that they're not an immense drawing talent. They deserve it. They're not one of my favorite teams. They're not my favorite wrestlers, but they draw and they make money. Personally, I would like to see Roode and Austin Aries win. Or Low Ki and Kenny King, and then have Homicide win the X title and MVP win the world title, and have the BDC be a proper group that controls all the belts. That would be something interesting. But I understand why the Hardys win. Definitely deserve it. I'm not knocking it in any way. I just would have liked to see it go a different way. I thought the match was good. I actually thought the Hardys, out of everybody, shined the most in the match. So, all in all, just a good way to end the show, in my opinion. So, coming off of that, we're going to go into our ratings for the week. Now, the show, we usually rate this on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. A 1 is a Tyrus, 2 is a Rockstar Spud, 3 is a Gunner, 4 is a James Storm, and 5 is a Bobby Roode. I'm going to go with a 3. This was a Gunner. It was kind of middle of the road. A lot of the tournament stuff fell flat. The Divas announcement fell flat. The gang fight was just bad, in my opinion. Ultimate X was good. A couple of tag matches were okay. But all in all, it didn't even out. It didn't make up for the number of things that I just were bad or so-so that I didn't care about. And that's why it's getting a 3. That's why it's getting a Gunner. Also, before I go off the air, I'm just going to remind everybody, because it's the month of April still. I'm only pushing this for the month of April. We have the Strive to 5. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers. And we're doing an awesome job. You guys are helping out a whole lot. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. It really is helping. I really believe we can make it there. Here's where you come in. If you watch these shows, if you like these shows, here's what I want you to do. It's all simple. It doesn't cost you any money. Hit the like button. If you like our show, share our show on your Facebook, your Twitter, or Reddit subpage. Anywhere you think that wrestling fans like yourself might appreciate this show, share it there. I give you permission to share this anywhere in the world. If you want to put it in a porn discussion, go right ahead. If you want to put this in a discussion about Star Wars in the new theater, in the new trailer, go right ahead. Share it all over the place. I would assume that you would think about it, though, and put it into stuff where people that might like it would come to the show. Also, if you're not already subscribed and you watch the show, please hit the subscribe button. It's going to get us to that 500 mark that I'm pushing as a goal for me and you guys, to get us to 500 subscribers. That's my goal for the month of April. You could go on there and see how many subscribers we have, how close we are. And just remember, like, share, and definitely comment. The more likes, the more comments, the more shares, the more YouTube promotes us. The more YouTube promotes us, the more people might find the show that like it. The more people that find the show that like it, the more that they're going to complete the cycle. And it'll keep going and going, and we'll keep this train rolling, and we'll keep Heel Heat going, and keep Heel Heat being the show that you enjoy. Or if you don't, at least comment, tell me what you don't like, and put a thumbs down. Maybe it's something I don't realize that people don't like. I only know if you tell me, folks. But anyway, basically that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.